Fantastic. Welcome, Mr. P. You know what? It is an honor to have you to Maverick Healers. And yeah, I know we're going to talk about street hypnosis, obviously, but before we get into street hypnosis, you have a healing career as well. The first question I do for everybody is what does Maverick mean to you?
Oh, Matt, before I answer that question, I have to say thank you for inviting me here.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I feel honored. What does Maverick mean to me?
Yeah,
Uh, I think anybody of our age, because I'm gonna put you in my age bracket.
we are.
I'm not. But Maverick used to come on TV. He was the gambler, you know. And so when I look at that, he was wild, just like the meaning of Maverick, free, wild, open, not following the norm. And yeah, I mean, would that fit me and my character? I guess so, because I don't do what the typical person does.
That is so true. And I like it because it also fits you because if anybody knows the TV show, he was always a gentleman. And every interaction I've ever had with you, you've always been a gentleman and a person of upstanding character. So I really
Thank
well
you.
first really my first question is what got you started in healing? What was that moment that made you say, "Hey, I want to be a healer"?
Wow. I think it's always been in me as a helper or healer. Uh, I'm not sure if we've talked about my military career, but I've been in the military, started off in the Marine Corps, went to the Army, was in the Air Force, finally went back over to the Army and retired. And I'm always helping. So healers always help. And my pivotal moment was after I self-taught myself hypnosis first. I stumbled across it. And I didn't know anything about hypnotherapy, quit smoking, weight loss, those type of things about hypnosis. I never put the two together. I just thought it was going to be the entertainment side. And so when I started actually digging into it, because I got scared because I saw a video of these kids on YouTube that couldn't take a kid out of hypnosis, kind of scared me. And I said, hey, I better go find somebody to teach me this stuff, even though I self-taught myself, not knowing, but I stumbled across it basically. And so I got introduced into the quit smoking and into the weight loss things. And I said, hey, this is an awesome thing.
So would you say that's your transformational moment when you start stumbling upon that and witnessing it in therapy, or is there something else that helped you shape your approach to healing or counseling or whatever you call it?
No, I believe that's the pivotal moment for me is once somebody said, hey, you can use hypnosis with smoking. I said, you know what? I never put those two things together.
Really?
It was there, but it just never came to the frontal lobe.
Well, what would you say your core belief of your practice is, or how do you how does it reflect in your practice? What's your core belief?
Mm, my core belief is love,
I love
period.
that. Yeah.
Love, and if you think about love and you love yourself, you think about how you would love other people. So how do you want to treat people? So my belief in it, especially since one of the big things about me is being that I'm a minority, I look at things in a scope of color. Most people in our field are majority European or white American.
That's true.
Very, very few. When I say very few, I think I know almost every Black American hypnotist in one way or another, directly or indirectly. So it's a small handful. So when I look at the diversity, I look at it also as color boundaries, going outside of the boundary. How would I want someone to treat me?
Right.
And so if I know how I want to be treated, because I've been treated bad because of the negativity, the stereotypes, you know, that's my beliefs for my core, how to treat people the way I want to be treated, with
Do you think
respect.
do you think it helps you because to connect with that community easier because of your the race and everything else? Because sometimes I know I work on the street as you do, as sometimes, and people come up and there's certain groups are more open to trying it. Do you think you open and do that bridge to help connect with people?
I believe so, yeah. And I learned that through being in the military, basically, or the military community, because I've been in different cultures and climates. So I understand, and that's one of the things about my thinking.
Hmm.
I don't just think like an American or a Black man in America. I think about the culture that I'm in. So if I'm dealing with someone of a Latin culture, and I know the diversity in the Latin cultures, because just because a person is Latino or Hispanic doesn't mean that that culture, such as a Spain Spaniard versus a Mexican Spaniard. You see, so the cultures, they differentiate. So you treat people on where they're from and how you perceive them. You
That
know, that's the connection.
yeah, that makes total sense. I know that you do what I consider is probably one of the hardest forms of hypnosis on the street. And I've heard Merge say it. I think maybe you got from you. You can't take therapy on the street, but you can take street into the therapy. Do you ever take street into the therapy?
For me, it goes both ways, hand in hand.
Okay.
Even, even when I'm on stage, because at the end of my shows, I say, I do clinical hypnosis or hypnotherapy, and that is therapy. And I tell the people, but you have just got the best therapy session at the end of the show, because the biggest therapy in life is laughter. And I always end my show with laughter is therapy for the soul. I've come in contact on the street with people that, I'm just, even though I'm doing it for the entertainment side, a lot of times you'll stumble across someone with an abreaction. And in my mind, when I see an abreaction, I'm like, uh-oh, something's going on inside of them. And so now step to the side with that person and do a quick mini therapy session, what you would call a mini therapy session, to help them out. So I always leave people in a better place, whether I'm in a clinical setting or on the street setting, on the stage setting. I try to leave people better than the way I met them.
No, I think that's how you should do with everybody. How do you tailor
Mhm.
make a healing approach for your clients, or cater it to their needs?
Going back to what I said about culture,
Hmm.
each person is different. I do not do group settings. I mean, if I'm doing a stage show or in the street with a group of people, it's one thing. But when we're talking about the holistic healing process, I tailor my sessions to each person. I don't do the quit smoking sensation groups, because I look at that as, I'll take 100 people and use a generic script. And when you use a generic script, it's not always going to work with everyone. And so now, taking that 100 people, you've only hypnotized 50 of them. and you're still using a generic script. So thinking, because you want to cover a little bit of everything, you take that 50 people that you did hypnotize, and now you only have 25 that's taking the suggestion. And out of that 25 that takes the suggestion, you may get 12 of them where that suggestion actually sticks and you can anchor it in. So I say 12 out of 100 people, I don't like that success rate.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't like that success rate. So I tell all of my clients all my techniques to the client.
That's well, that just leads. How do you measure success in your practice for yourself and for the client?
um, First, I use a statement about success. And I ask people when I do life coaching, I say, what is success? And people, they look at me and they don't really understand the definition of success. And they say, well, I want to be rich. Okay, well, I'll give you this picture. A bum in the street is hungry, looks in the garbage can, gets a half-eaten sandwich out of the garbage can, fills his stomach up for the day. Is he successful?
Can't argue with that. It's so true. Wow. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. So each person measures their success differently. The way I measure my success when it comes to a client is if they are happy with the session, I'm successful. Not necessarily completely changing them, but if the change, which 9 times out of 10 happens, that is even a bigger icing on the cake, more or less.
Well, I like that you said 9 out of 10 because it's true. We're never nothing's 100%. But what would you say was one of the most common misconceptions that people have about your particular healing practice, and how do you address them?
Again, each person is different.
Right.
So I deal with it in I meet the person where they're at.
Right.
I don't make anyone come to my sessions. I advertise via word of mouth, internet on occasion, but because I don't want someone to come here thinking that the hypnosis is just a magic bullet to cure all. That's one thing. The other thing is sometimes a person just doesn't need hypnosis. They just need a person to listen to. So now I always incorporate other skills with my hypnosis practice. Maybe they need life coaching. Maybe they just needed someone to listen to. So my major, just to let you know, I'm still working on my doctorate degree, but my major is psychology and my minor is sociology. I love studying people. So when it comes to the person, I have to meet them where they're at, and then we can go from there.
I think that's some solid information. Any new practitioner could take that to the bank.
Yeah.
With and that's what is one of my next questions was, how do you continue in expanding your learning?
If you stop learning, you die. Years ago, after being introduced to the book The Alchemist, I started actually calling myself an alchemist
Oh,
or
wow.
a scientist. I love doing the street because it takes me to, it pushes my level. And I'm constantly learning about people. my biggest thing is not what people think, but how do they think? Why do they think? And the more I do the street and the more I do the stage, I consider myself a mad scientist, so to say. I don't know. Because I'm constantly experimenting. Each one of my videos I go back to when I'm doing street stuff, so to say. And if I did hypnotize the person, what did I miss? What could I have done better? If the person didn't go into hypnosis, why didn't they go into hypnosis? I started doing that at my earliest stages with my videos. And I started studying them. And I said, oh, well, now I know different characteristics of people. Now I know the different body languages of people. Now I know the cultural differences of people. So you have all of that, and you have to combine everything, just like making gumbo. You know, you combined it all, you tasted a little, it need a little bit more, you know, whatever, salt, pepper, garlic, whatever you want to put in it. And you start coming up with the perfect recipe, but there's no perfect recipe for everyone. So you have to tailor to their taste.
No, that's a great example. That's a great example. Going on the learning aspect, but flipping it, you're I've never worked with you personally. I've worked with you, watched you. I've just by watching you, I've learned a ton of stuff because I'm an observer. I learned from one of your students, and he's amazing. What got you into teaching?
Wow. You know a couple of people that I've taught,
Yeah.
but I'm going to talk about one individual.
Hmm.
My very first person that I ever taught hypnosis to was Ali.
Really? Ali is awesome.
Ali is the very first person I ever taught hypnosis to. You know, Darren and Merge and all of those other guys. That's Ali is the first person, and he came to me. And I'll never forget it because he came to me for 3 days, and the second day, I literally got sick of the training and had to cancel it. And I got admitted into the hospital. To this day, they still didn't know what was wrong with me. This was years ago. And Ali had told me when he first met me that he tried to learn hypnosis from someone else, and the guy just took his money and left him. I was like, wow. So being that Ali lives close to me up in Houston, we both live in Texas, said, you know what? That's not going to happen because my reputation, I'm a man of my word, or I believe I'm a man of my word. And one of the things I do is when I tell people I'm going to teach them, I'm going to teach them. So if you paid me to teach you, I'm going to teach you. If you didn't get what you wanted, come back. I'm going to teach you some more. I'm going to keep going until you say, okay, I got it, or the aha moment. And so a couple of weeks passed, and I went back and I taught them. And I took them to Austin down in 6th Street. And ever since then, I was like, you know what? People want to learn hypnosis, and they're learning from, and I hate to say it, some shady people out in the world. I don't want to be one of those shady people in the world that people are learning from. So I taught while I was in the military. I taught as a civilian, different types of things. I've taught martial arts in the past. I'm still a martial arts instructor. So a lot of that teaching just slid on over, and I just became a natural as an instructor.
No, I've watched you work with people, and I see that how you do it is you're trying to teach them on so many different levels at the same time. I can see it goes over some people's heads, but I also know with Ali, Merge, Darren, everybody I've met, they have a relationship with you where they feel free to contact you at any time. And I think that's fantastic.
I tell you, anybody that I have ever trained in the past, I have one thing I always tell them. I say, hey, you have my telephone number. You're not my student anymore. We're family, we're friends. And you can call me 24/7. And one thing about calling me 24/7, if I answer, I answer. If I don't answer and I see that you call me, I'll call you back. I may be with a client, I may be with my family. I now, at the time when I trained those guys, they would call me 24/7. I mean, and when I say we're on the telephone until 3, 4, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I have insomnia, so it doesn't bother me. But now I have a family, so some of the times, if they call me at certain times, I may be with my family, but I have people around the world. I have people around the world literally that call me different times of day and night, and I'll answer their calls.
And I think that's a great way to taking care of things. I know I've called you and you've always called me back, and that's how we set this up. So I appreciate that. Um, let's go back to the healing. How does your I guess your unconventional approach to healing complement or even challenge the medical, the traditional medical practices?
Wow. A lot of people are so stuck on a book and they think that is the only way. The thing that separated me from regular hypnotists is I was self-taught, for one. So all of the biases about you have to do A, B, C to get to Z, I just learned do A and you'll get to Z. And so when it comes to doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists, they're in a book and they're going off of what someone has written or taught them. And what I tell people is once I teach them, you're going to be you. You'll never be Mr. P. You're going to be the best you. So medical wise, they're going off of, and a doctor only practices on you because they're treating you for symptoms.
Right.
As a holistic healer, you're giving them something different than just medicine. And healing starts up here. And that's been medically proven because people give people placebos in one survey and give people the actual medicine in the other one. And sometimes the results are very, very close, similar.
That's very true. With going down that, can you share a particularly challenging case or a situation in your practice and maybe how you navigated it?
Hmm. Self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah. I've had maybe 3 clients that I can think of off the top of my head. And they'll get to their goal. Maybe if they had to take 10 steps, they will take 8 steps. And for some ungodly reason, they'll sabotage themselves to set them back. And now we have to start back to the 3rd step to get to the, and people like that, I've come to recognize that when people come to you for a session, and I like taking care of almost any session that I do, I want to be done with it in one session, one and done, with the exception of the weight loss, because weight loss is an ongoing thing and sometimes people get discouraged.
Hmm.
You have to recharge them. But as far as like to quit smoking and this and that, but I've come to a point where I notice people will tell you, I smoke because I get upset. No, you don't smoke because you get upset. There's something in the background. So those things, if the person wants to change, they have to address the actual root cause of what's making them do whatever. And so, but some people want the change, and I'm using quit smoking because that's a typical thing.
It is.
They want to quit smoking, but they don't want to just address the root problem. And once you start hitting on the root problem, like I said, I've had roughly 3 clients, and it made me start experimenting about it. I'll get to a certain point in the session, and they'll snap out of hypnosis. I'm not sure if you've ever had someone do that, but
Yeah.
that's what happens. And they don't want to address that issue. And it's kind of hard to have them go forward when they haven't addressed that issue yet.
Is there a particular case that kind of stands out to you?
Well, like I said, there are 3 of them that I can basically really pinpoint. I don't want to say exactly what it was.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, because, different people, different clients. The thing was, I readdressed it after I took them out of hypnosis. And I said, look, I got to this point, and this is what you're showing me, that this isn't the problem. There's an underlying problem. And once I addressed it that way, they come out and they talk to me and say, well, this happened as a kid, or this happened in my past, or, whatever.
Right.
And once that was addressed, and I asked them, do you want to change that issue? And once they say, yeah, 2 out of the 3 have agreed. Because like I said, I'm remembering 3 specific ones.
Right.
But one person, they never wanted to agree on that change because of the damage. And I told them that you need to go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, and I tell people right off the bat, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not even a therapist in the state of Texas. So I don't consider myself a hypnotherapist. I'm a hypnotist. I do change work. Because I don't want anyone coming to me saying, oh, well, you said you're a hypnotherapist. I'm suing you. I never said I'm a hypnotherapist. I do hypnosis. I'm a hypnotist. I help people change their lives. I am a life coach. So,
That makes a lot of sense, and I love that you keep that distinction, because a lot of people don't, and they tackle things they shouldn't. Where there's, I think something came to your mind on that one.
Oh yeah, well, you have a lot of people that come out, well, I'm a hypnotherapist and I can do this and I can do that. Okay. What is your life experiences with those challenges? If you've never faced any of those challenges, and that's one, like I say, almost everything that I've been exposed to in the clinical realm or the holistic healing portion, I've experienced it either firsthand or I was in a proximity of being firsthand.
Right.
When it comes to PTSD, when it comes to addictions, I never was a drug addict, but I am an alcoholic. But I haven't touched alcohol in over 33 years.
Fantastic. Congrats.
but I do know I'm still an alcoholic.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So if you've never experienced that, what can you talk about it on?
That's so true. That is so true. Is there a particular technique or process or therapy model that you find especially effective?
I do. I have something that I always, first I learned, like I said, I do experiments with people, and I've learned through past experience that before I can tackle what you came here for that change, let me clear the baggage out of the room first. And so I start attacking the underlying issues of what the root cause was. So before I even start with a quit smoking session, I'll go ahead and hypnotize the person, and I'll let them look around inside, because the person actually has the answer to the issue. They already know the answer. And when I remember when I was a police officer, if I did hypnosis on a victim to recall a certain incident, I only needed to know the date. I didn't want to know the time. I didn't want to know what happened or anything. Because the less I know, the better the outcome will be. And the less I know about the issue, because I let them work the issue out in their mind.
Right.
And they'll open that door somewhere inside of them and say, boom, that's it right there. So when I do my sessions, I'll let them go around inside of their minds and tell them to get rid of any unwanted things. Whether I tell them to flush it in the toilet and it never comes back, whether I put it in a basket and send it down the river, whatever it may be. But I attack that underlying issue first that they're not talking about.
Very nice. I like that. Is there you know, a, how can I say this? How do you I'll put it this way. How do you approach the people that come in, I guess, hesitant or maybe even skeptical?
Well, first and foremost, I tell them, you came to me for help. I didn't come to you for help. You came to me for help, so that means that you must be open to it. And in certain cultures, such as the Latino community, the Black community, they talk about voodoo or, oh, that's against my religion. Well, and then you explain things. And as a hypnotist, I'm not sure if you know this, Bill, but do you know they have Christian hypnotist groups out?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So they have a lot of different groups that are out there, and they have a group for Christian hypnotists. And they always, well, they don't always, but they tackle those questions. Well, I had somebody from the church, they're saying that hypnosis against God. Well, one of my things that I explain to people is, God, if you believe in God, God created everything. So if God created everything and God gave you a certain gift, whatever that gift may be, you're different from me. So whatever gift God gave you, God gave me a gift as well. And that gift was the gift of hypnosis. The problem is when people have a gift is how do they use their gifts? So, and even when they start talking about witchcraft and all of these things, what is the end result or the intent of that person? Is it for help or is it for harm? And so that's the way I started explaining it to them. And then they saying, well, the Bible say that all of this fortune telling and magic and stuff is And I'm using the Bible
Right.
because that's just a common
That's
thing. Even on the streets, people ask me this. I say, okay. I say, let's take this here. And they say, oh, well, I'm a Christian, or I believe in the Bible, I believe in Jesus and God. And I say, okay. You read the Bible, don't you? There's a specific verse I always get them. Say Matthew verse 2. I want to say verse 2 and 7. It said, I have seen a star in the east and I come to worship him. And I said, who said that? And they said, I don't know. I said, well, it talked about the star in the east, and they followed it to go to the manger to see the birth of the king, Jesus. And they said, oh yeah, the three wise men. I said, well, in those old days, they didn't call them wise men. They called them magi or magi. And they followed the star, which made them astrologers. They studied the stars. And not only did they study the stars, they were foretold of a coming of a king of kings. And I said, that's a fortune teller, isn't it? And they look at me and like, proof hurts. and again, I go back to whether you believe in God, God created us, gave people gifts. What are they intent? So those are some of the ways I navigate, or I'm not going to say defend, because I don't have to defend myself. I have to defend hypnosis. It works.
It does work. What advice would you give to someone that's first thinking about going to a alternative healer or someone like yourself?
Two things that I would advise is, one, do your research or study on what you think is going on with you. Then do research on the person you're going to ask for help. You don't go to the dentist because you broke your toe.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's
you
true.
don't go to you don't go to the brain surgeon because your heart is doing bad, unless there's a connection between the brain and the heart. Then you're going to have not just the brain surgeon, but the heart surgeon, cardiology, as well as the brain, neurology.
True.
So you do your research.
With you've been doing this so many years. What do you do for your own mental health, or how to keep yourself balanced so you don't get pulled into the crap?
Oh man. It's called burnout.
Right. Big out there now.
I've been there. A doctor doesn't write his own prescription, does he?
No, can't. Not legal.
Not legal. He goes to another doctor. And so I'm into the holistic side of the healing process. And also, I'm a retired vet. I go to vet groups and we talk. So I let out some of the things in those groups. We have psychologists, psychiatrists we talk to. We're all in different groups. So I don't just hold it in anymore. And when I think that I am burnt out about it, I back off. I learned years ago that I am I'm an empath.
Right.
Even though I don't show my feelings, I'm a man, blah, blah, blah. I bawl like a baby, man. And it hit me one day, the emotions just overwhelmed me. And I was on the Tom Joyner cruise. I'm not sure if you know what that is.
No.
It's the Tom Joyner. Yes, he does a fundraiser. where he gets all of these stars. Tom Joyner is a syndicated radio host. He's a DJ. And he does a fundraiser for historical Black colleges and universities. And, you know, you have all sorts of people on there like the Jacksons. On the one that I was on, the Jacksons were on there, R. Kelly, Mary J. Blige, all of these celebrities.
Wow.
Yeah. But all of these celebrities and people that were on there, I was surrounded by a bunch of people that were hurting. And I had no other choice, but my shoulders just got too heavy that I started taking on their emotions. And it was an overflow. Yeah. I went back in my cabin and cried for about an hour, literally about an hour, crying like a baby.
Wow.
And then I came back and I was like, whoa, man, that's a whole lot of negative energy in the middle of the ocean in one place where it shouldn't have been. So I took a step back. You have to take a step back sometimes. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic that you're sharing all this, and you play a big part in your community. What advice would you give someone like myself, or to how could we bridge a gap or work better together or whatever? I know that's a strange question, but it just came to my head.
I, I want to understand the question.
No,
So are you
that's
talking
fine.
about working together as in myself and you, or as the community, or going out into the community working?
But
I'm not
probably all three in a lot of ways, because I know that not from myself but I've heard others. They just how can we work better together in a community to raise awareness of hypnosis, or working together to get out there because it really is such a great therapy. Um, the Latino community, the Black community, it's really the community of humanity. But
Yeah.
that's how I approach it. But how can we gap that?
The gap is, well, I am grateful that I've met you. I thank the universe that I've met you, first and
Thank you.
foremost. In our lines, myself and you, our lines of communication are open. You can call. Here we go. You were not taught by me. I'm not sure who you were taught by, but I know you work with Merge, and any person in that family is welcome with me. That's first and foremost. How do we bridge the gap? Communication. Communication is always going to be the key. There are people. Remember when I was talking about you asked me a question about teaching.
Yes.
And I told, so some instructors that are out there, they're in it for the money. One of the things I will say about myself, am I in it for the money? Kind of, sort of, but I'm not out to make $1 million, and I'm not out to scam people. If I was, you wouldn't know me.
That's true.
Yeah, because I'll be a scam artist. What I will say is, I don't say, oh, you take my basic course in hypnosis, and then you come back and pay me for my intermediate course, and then you come back and this is an advanced course, and oh, you can take this other course too that I'm teaching. That if you're going to teach me, and that's the way I believe. So anybody that I've taught, and I've connected people from different places that I've taught to meet other people. You know, the relationship with Darren and Merge. Well, Darren was in Chicago. I think he was in Chicago or Detroit. He was somewhere when I taught him, and Merge was all the way in Arizona. But I connected those guys, and those guys, they were rocking from day one when they met, you know, we just have to communicate. Cultural awareness is one of the biggest things I think that we have in our community. And when I'm talking about the community, I'm talking about the hypnosis community.
True.
You know, people really don't know. They'll see you, but do they really see you? When it comes to minorities, that's what I'm saying. They don't really see because you're invisible unless they need something from you. And that's one of the biggest hurts that I've ever had in the hypnosis community is you're invisible as a minority. That's just something I'm bringing up. That just
No, I'm glad you're bringing up.
But the better way to bridge the gap is learn other people's cultures, learn another language. Here we go again. You said about learning, and I say don't stop learning. Don't stop learning. Because if you start studying people, you start realizing you're all the same.
So true. So true.
Mm-hmm. You put on your pants the same way I put on my pants. Either one leg at a time, or you sit down on something and put both legs in it at the same time. But either way, you put them on the same way, one way or another.
Right.
Unless there's another way. If you can snap your fingers and do it, I don't know.
I do magic, but I'm not that good.
Yeah.
Well, just so you know, Merge and Darren are the people that taught me street hypnosis. And Darren is one of my close friend. Merge is like a brother to me. So, you know, I respect so much because for myself, learning street gave me different confidence in a therapy room.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the big. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Please.
I'd rather teach someone that knows nothing about hypnosis than teach a hypnotherapist.
I think I know the answer, but let me ask why.
You know the answer because the therapist will get in his own way. Well, I was taught this, and that's the other thing. I'll use Darren specifically, since you know him, as a good example. He came to me and learned hypnosis. When he left, he went to the airport. He called me. Actually, he was at the airport. Hey, I just hypnotized somebody at the airport. Hypnotized somebody as soon as I landed. I hypnotized somebody today. I hypnotized somebody. He hypnotized someone the entire week. He was out hypnotizing people. Thursday or Friday of that same week, he went to someone else's shrine. And when he went to that training, he couldn't hypnotize after that. He called me up maybe Tuesday or Wednesday the following week, and he was like, hey, I don't know, man. I just can't get it, man. I can't get it. And then I had to explain to him, oil and water doesn't mix. You're getting into your own way now. I taught you this, and this. Just do this, and this, and tell me how it works out for you. Calls me the same night, and I'm back out hypnotizing again. And I said, the difference is you have to do you. You can't do everybody. So now you have to figure out what you want to use to work. Because I'm not knocking anyone's training. What I'm saying is you'll get in your own way because now you took etouffee and some gumbo and tried to mix it in with some hamburger meat or a steak and eggs.
Right.
You know, it's not going together. but you have to take your own ingredients and put them together. But a lot of times, a hypnotherapist is taught you have to do A, B, C, D, and so forth. I don't teach A, B. If I don't need B and C, why am I going to use it?
That makes sense.
But they don't understand that. A lot of them are still stuck where I was taught this way. Okay, but I'm telling you this, and this work. I'm showing you that this works. You know, I have a very good friend that's in I won't say her whole name, but Tracy, she's a mentalist. And I took her from the hotel to Fremont Street, first time we ever met. And it was roughly a 15-minute ride. And I told her, I said, I'm gonna teach you hypnosis in 15 minutes. Don't worry about it, do exactly what I said. And it'll work. Went out there, boom. First person she ever tried to hypnotize, boom. And she was shocked. And it's like, oh, it does work. You know, one of those things. So just because you can hypnotize doesn't mean you know how to hypnotize. So she came to me about a month, less than a month later, and she actually took my full course, and she's an amazing hypnotist. My son Xavier, you met him, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He started doing hypnosis at the age of 3.
Wow.
But he doesn't know hypnosis. He doesn't know. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
He's a hypnotist. He can hypnotize, but he doesn't know hypnosis. And that's the difference. So when it comes to the hypnotherapist, if you just stick to it works and have the confidence that it will work or it does work, that's the biggest problem with hypnotherapists. They have no confidence.
I could agree with that 100%. And street even helped me on, I was doing therapy, but when I learned street, that's when my therapy business skyrocketed through the roof. It helps with confidence. I agree 100%. With all the new changes, AI, all this technology and the direction, where do you think things will evolve in the next 10 years?
Well, I'm not going to say well, because I don't know. I mean, it's evolving. So AI is evolving so rapidly. It's, beam me up, Scotty. I mean, that's where we're at right now. I will say this though, AI cannot replace emotion. It has no feeling.
It's very true.
It can mimic, because you can have a robot that mimics you, but when it comes to your emotions, it has no feeling. It has no soul. Has no soul.
That's true.
So I don't know where it's going to go in there when it comes to the hypnosis world. And people are out using the AI and they're making scripts. But here we go again. I don't use scripts. I mean, scripts are good for someone that's beginning. But once you start getting experience, you'll see that script isn't for everyone. You have to change things up. You have to go off what you see, not reading it verbatim.
Right.
So you have to, it's just like, I see this. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not explained over here and it's not addressing what I see. So that's going to be the difference when it comes to hypnosis and AI, I believe.
I do agree with that. What advice would you give someone to who's thinking about starting and going into therapy or hypnosis and doesn't know where to begin or what to expect?
I'm going to ask you a question first.
Okay.
if you had to start all over again in hypnosis, what would you learn first? Hypnotherapy, or would you learn street?
I'll be honest, I probably learned street first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's the advice I would tell someone, because street is going to give you the confidence. Most hypnotherapists are scared to say the word sleep. Most hypnotists, I'll use it in what Merge says. They let the hypnosis pass. The person is already hypnotized, but they're reading a script. They're not even looking at the client. They're not even looking at the client. The client is already out hypnotized. And they're still going on, and when they could have already just said, okay, close it. 8-word induction. Sleep, boom, and that's it. You know, they miss the opportunity, or they take too long. So I say my advice is to learn street hypnosis, especially from someone in our family that has learned hypnosis from myself or from anyone that I've taught.
Right.
I would say learn it from them, learn it from someone that does street hypnosis. Here we go again. Have a good friend. You met Derek, right?
Yeah.
Derek Watkins?
Yes.
Me and Derek are real good friends, and he knew hypnosis. He was a hypnotist before we met. We both were hypnotists before we met. And we've been together, and I've seen him do some amazing things. He does the therapy, he does the stage, does the street. And, the confidence all of us street hypnotists have is a higher confidence than what a therapist has,
No,
And again,
no, please. No, I was just going to say that earlier on you said just a one-word induction sleep. I've seen you do a no-word induction, video and in person. And if anybody just watched you and studied that, that is a whole masterclass in body language and understanding people and connecting and rapport. People miss out on that because they do want to follow a script, or they do want to follow a process instead of reading the person and merging with them to help them go into trance. So I just want to give you kudos there.
Oh, thank you. I don't know what to say about that, but you're absolutely correct about that. You don't even have to say sleep. You don't have to say anything. It's reading a person. How do you, when I teach, if a person is with me long enough, and I normally just teach a 3-day course, but if they choose to stay 4 days or learn longer with me, I'm open to it. But I do give them materials and tell them, hey, go study this, go study that, go look at this. And one of the biggest things that I tell them to do is study culture. And then you'll understand why people react certain ways. What are their beliefs? If you can connect to a person's belief, their culture, or something quickly, you shouldn't have a problem hypnotizing. And that's the biggest thing, is rapport. Confidence and rapport. Two biggest things in hypnosis.
Nice. In closing, I'm going to let you have the final word, but where to find you, how they can connect with you. Just share where people can find you and connect with you.
Wow. I didn't even have it ready. Oh my God. No, I'm good. I'm getting ready to release a new website, which is called HypnoStreet.
Nice.
Hypnostreet.com. But I tell people to contact me by cell phone. Either text me or call me. Preferably, if I don't know you, text me first, and then call me. But if I know who you are or I have your number in my phone, I'll definitely pick it up. But my telephone number is 254-383-1989. That's 254-383-1989. And you can call me day or night. I have insomnia, so I'm up a lot of times real early in the morning, as in 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, Texas time. You can also go to my YouTube, which is Mr. P Hypno Street, or, and it's one word, 35 for life. No spaces in it. But yes, 35 for life, no spaces in the middle. The number 35, FORLIFE. And with that being said, you can do a Google search if you can't find me. I promise you, Hypnotist Mr. P can pop up and you can find where I'm at. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you for taking the time. It's an honor to have some time speaking with you. I know it's early there. I'll let you get on with your day, but thank you once again, Mr. P.
No, thank you for inviting me. I hope anybody that looks at this video or this podcast that watches it, I hope they learned something. I hope they reach out to myself or yourself or any of the other people that we've mentioned, you know, if they want to learn more, because all of them are credible people, incredible people that are willing to go out to change the world. And that's the big thing, change the world for the better. Thank you for what you do.
Hey,
I love
thank
you, man.